My turn. Dr. Brown, you've written about the challenges facing the Parent Plus program and pointed out that HBCU students and parents rely on Parent Plus, but sometimes it saddles the family with debt they cannot pay. And so that which is extended in compassion becomes a shackle keeping them from growth. Can you comment on that, please? And those are my words, not yours, but I feel just as passionately as you.
Yes, Senator Cassidy, I agree that the Parent Plus loans and loans in general create a financial burden on students that is not sustainable. Specifically, if a family has an estimated family contribution of 0 and then you extend a Parent Plus loan to that family, what's the likelihood that that family will, with any reason, be able to pay it? But it's a far more complex question than that, because if you remove those loans without an alternative, history tells us that that stops access. And so I think if we go back to the founding of the whole Title IV program, this was supposed to be solved within the Pell Grant part of the program and not within the loan part. The loans create a debt trap. It creates and takes away the social and economic mobility that is intended of education. So I wish we did not need the loans at all. But until we do something to reform the level of Pell Grant, it ends up being the difference in access. And I will offer one more example. In 2011, when there were credit changes to the Parent Plus loan system, we saw immediately a decline of around 3 to 4% of students who attended HBCUs, while enrollment was going up at other schools. And so, in a sense, we made education available for the elite, and we did not make education available for the masses.
But the Parent Plus program, again, as we have, I'm looking at some statistics. I understand that about a 34% borrow more than the $50,000 cap being proposed. I've heard stories of people borrowing for multiple kids, and they end up just incredible debt. They're drowning in debt from this. So I think what you're saying is that there needs to be another way to finance it?
I'm saying it's the wrong tool for social and economic mobility. The loan is the wrong tool, but it is the only tool unless there's an alternative to make sure you ensure access. Okay. So it's definitely the wrong tool you don't give a person who can't make a payment a loan. You instead would do a different tool. And again, I believe that the intent of the original Higher Education Act was to fix this within the Pell Grant program.
Gotcha. Dr. Lindsay, there's been a lot of conversation about the lack of moral clarity on college campuses and about tolerance of incivility that then becomes violent, and about counseling people with different views. Now, you're a Christian organization, and I imagine there'd be very noxious views, and so there's a tension there, the counseling versus the moral clarity. In your experience, because obviously your enrollment is growing, you're doing very well. How do you manage that tension between some viewpoint which might be noxious to your theology, but at the same time having moral clarity?
I think fundamentally we believe that all truth is God's truth, so we're not afraid to engage on difficult topics or difficult issues. I was on the faculty of a Research One university for a number of years, and I would say at Taylor, I feel like we have more freedom to engage on difficult or contentious topics than I ever faced on that Research One campus. I think part of what happens is that when you're part of a community that has a shared set of moral commitments, which we do, it sort of creates a degree of freedom within a framework of faith. And we have found that our students really thrive with the opportunity. We want our students to be really well equipped to engage all of the pressing issues. And they're not simple answers. We know that. So you've got to be able to engage those variety of concerns in a thoughtful and deliberative way.
So if somebody came advocating for polygamy, they could speak, but it'd be in the context of an audience which had a well-grounded sense of moral clarity.
We have students who are incredibly thoughtful about their theological commitments and how it informs their academic pursuits. We welcome any speaker to come to our campus. I think they'll find that our students are engaging, prepared, and bring a degree of clarity to the pressing moral issues we see in our day.
Dr. Gilliam, Dr. Brown just spoke about, okay, we know that these Parent Plus programs really end up burdening people with tremendous debt. And you made the statement that sometimes increased revenue is spent, but there's diminishing return in terms of the benefit, however you define the benefit. But he said if you cut the Parent Plus, then how do you replace it? there's a tension there. Please, from your perspective, how is that tension addressed?
Yeah, absolutely. So I totally agree that the Parent Plus is the wrong tool to try and address this problem. I actually had a paper out that argued we should get rid of Parent Plus and increase Pell Grant to make up the gap that parents were contributing to their students' education. So that's one option is increase Pell Grant. Another option is just rely more on the private sector to do that lending, because the main problem with the Parent Plus loan right now is that they are not doing kind of credit checks, and so you're giving parents who can't afford the debt a huge amount of debt, whereas private lenders wouldn't make those loans
So
because they're not going to get repaid.
You're not disputing that they might need the money, you just think there's a better, more wise way to finance it.
Correct.
Okay.